Sportageous. Sport gets smarter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Sportageous videocast. Today, I have a very special guest with me, the founder of BabaGol, all the way from Israel, Uri Levy.
Hey Zushan, how are you doing?
Welcome to the show, mate. Just to give
Thank you.
everyone watching or listening a bit of an insight into who you are. Obviously, you are one of the preeminent journalists on football in the Middle East, and a lot of you may be wondering, what is BabaGol? Probably a lot of you have already heard of BabaGol. Essentially, it is a football media platform that celebrates football and its variety of significance. Focused on the Middle East, Africa, Asia, and Latin America, they tell stories, analyze processes, share information about players, and shed lights on hidden phenomena. It's a pleasure to have you here, mate.
Thank you, Zushan. I think I will hire you to make our promo, man. That was fantastic.
I'm glad you liked it. Look, Uri, I want to get straight into it. And, one of the questions, and I want to sort of give you this opportunity to share a little bit and shed some light on BabaGol. The interesting thing about football is that it is the one sole and truly global sport. In a day and age, I guess, where media content is all over social media, it's all around us, it's on our phones, our computers, our televisions, and sports content in particular, if you follow it, is everywhere as well, So, yeah, when it comes to football, you're always going to find on Instagram a Messi versus Ronaldo thing. You're always going to find which Manchester club is better, so on and so forth, and those sort of things are pretty popular. But what I want to ask you is, what does BabaGol do to make it different and fresh amongst all this noise?
Yeah, it's a good question. When as you said perfectly, the internet and basically all the spaces that we are spending time these days are full with content about football, about the new player of Manchester United, the new rumor of transfer to Manchester City, Real Madrid, Barca, Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi. What drove me to tell different stories and basically to found BabaGol and establish this website that focus on different football scenarios around the world was the thing that, outside of Western Europe, there is worlds with identities, with stories, with rich and diverse, I would say, characters that through the game you can really touch people and you can really understand other people. And basically, when in 2014, when I started BabaGol, all the view was about there is a huge world outside. Don't just rely on Premier League and Champions League and whatever the mainstream media is giving you. Nothing bad in that. But if you want to really learn the world and understand where we are living, so football is the great way to do it, and BabaGol should be your first stop. If whether Asia is interesting for you, Africa, the Middle East, of course, this is where we are based most of the crews, and this is where we work also as journalists. So I really trying to bring really core news and stories from the field, from our region or wherever in Asia and Africa and Latin America, and to give exposure to players, clubs, fans, all kind of stories, and always with something that the reader can eventually go back home, sit with his family on a Saturday night dinner, and hey guys, did you know that Kali Mula is the leading player right now in Pakistan, and he just signed at Sacramento FC from the USL from FC Dordo in Kyrgyzstan. So his father will give him this look, but then maybe he'll go to Google and check about Dordo and learn a little bit about Kyrgyz people through their football. So basically I'm doing this for 6 years now. Really, this week it was 6 years. Usually we used to throw like a huge birthday celebration, Baba birthday, Baba B-day celebration. This year less, because basically there is so much work to do. The pandemic really changed the way we think and act. Um, while the whole world and the mainstream media shut down on football and started to post and repost goals from the past and let's remember Ronaldinho and this and that. Man, we cover Belarusian football, Honduras football, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan football, all Central Asia that in the beginning of the pandemic breakout were a little bit neglecting to its existence. Yeah, they described it as a bizarre lung disease that showed up in the middle of nowhere. And we start to broadcast live games through our partners at Maikujo, and to cover it, really beat covering and making interviews and match reports and post games, pre games. So we really like upbeat the work and the work pace. And so this year, it's less about the birthday of BabaGol being 6 years old, but more looking to the horizon. And basically, this is, I think it's a good lesson to all the listeners of this video cast. And starting a niche, a project, a content project, or a B2C content project on a niche, at the beginning, people will look at you and say, it's weird. Who is it? It's nerdy maybe, or it's not. They are not professional. But sticking to your niche and sticking to your point of view, it's not even a niche. With time, will develop and elevate and become something that you will get more professional at, and you will get better at what you do at creating content, which is very important and highly recommended. So basically, consistency is what leading us in BabaGol. And I don't know, ask me anything. I think I went a little bit all over the place here, but I think you got the idea.
Oh, absolutely.
BabaGol is bringing the stories that you won't read anywhere else. And if you want to dive into different cultures that you regularly read on sports news, so this is your first stop to come to.
You heard it, everyone. BabaGol is the place to go. Wherever you're listening to this or watching this, be sure to check out the description. BabaGol website, the social medias, be sure to check them out. Follow what they're doing, because obviously Uri at BabaGol, along with the team, doing some incredible work. Uri, it's really interesting because you focus on all these other non-conventional places. But being from the Middle East yourself, that is, I assume to an extent your heart is also there. Maybe not more, but just as much as some of the other places. And the Middle East is a very interesting place when it comes to football. Like as you know, we've chatted before, and I grew up there for most of my life, born and raised in the UAE, and people love football. There's no doubt about it. Maybe let's for example take North Africa out of context, right? Keep it strictly right. Middle East. The fans are crazy. They love the game. You've had all the big teams come once in a while to some of the Gulf countries to play like preseason tours and that sort of thing. Leagues get pretty decent attendance, but the standard is up and down at times. I speak, for example, from in the instance of the GCC countries and football there. Sometimes, Saudi qualifies for the World Cup. Often, sometimes it doesn't. Other countries, people play, you go out on the streets, people are playing the game. But again, it isn't consistent. Why do you think, what do you think is the issue as to why it's perceived in this manner, or it is this way? And what do you think needs to be done to perhaps change this?
Yeah, well, it's a very good question. Actually, I was happy to see it in the list of questions that you sent me before the interview. That basically, it's hard. It's for me, it's hard to admit it. As you said, I'm living here in the Middle East. I'm very connected. It is something that also related to the previous question. I try to put my heart in every piece of content, and my heart is here. And so basically, in what manners the standard is up and down. In passion, it's always up.
Yeah.
In the professional manner, is in the Middle East, unfortunately, we are suffering from several things. First of all, it's short-termism thinking. Three matches haven't gone the way the president or the owner of the club wanted. Yalla, the coach out, and let's bring another coach that probably already worked in that club 2 seasons ago, and stuff like this. We know it's our temperament. We are, for example, I can testify myself also. I might be cursing in my car during traffic. Yeah, it sucks to stand in traffic for 2 hours, and maybe to look for the shortcut on the other street and go like this. Yeah, it's part of the culture. And football, it's a cliche what I'm going to say, but in the end of the day, it's not 100%, but it has parts that really reflects the identity and the character of its society. And we are not very patient people for waiting in the Middle East. We want everything right now, and we want to be kings. And if we win one game, so we're the top of the world, and if we lose one, so we do not deserve to play the game of football. And it's a pattern that I see returning from Israel to Lebanon, to Jordan, to Saudi, of course, to the UAE. Well, the UAE is a little bit more, I would say, generated and delicate in their attitude. Nobody will, burn the club after a big loss. But it's not like the Saudis. The Saudi fans are very demanding of the clubs, so it's a little bit different. But I think the mix between short-termism and I would say considerably high amounts of money invested in the big teams, which even exaggerate the expectations and disconnect them from really the reality and the professional level of the players or the coach or even the routine. And again, we need to remember that we live in an area that you can wake up and there is or a war that was already taking place and now is renewing, or a new one, or there is a blockade, or this leader just died and changed everything around it, or there is a coup d'etat somewhere. And look, it's changing the priorities for people, but still people really addicted to their identities and its representation. So the contrast between the passion of the fans and the high quality of fandom and the fan displays in the Middle East are absolutely incredible. To the actual level of football is hard, because it's hard. What is the most famous historical legendary football story of the Middle East? You know what it is?
No.
Iraq 2007 Asian Cup. A team that was gathered a month and a half before a tournament, not spending even a training camp together. A coach who just signed and didn't know one player. He just count on a few names that he has been told. He went to see 2 matches and said, let's make a 1 day testing 200 players in 1 day, picked his 20, went there, somehow won the cup against Saudi in the middle of a very cruel and severe civil war, that in the day before the final, 2 days before the final, there was another suicide attack in Baghdad which killed 350 people. And so basically this is and eventually they went and won it. 1-0. Great story, but it shows you everything about the region eventually in a nutshell, in a football game. Nothing was organized. They drove by the passion, by the love for the people, the love for their nation, and we are becoming very emotional when it comes to football. And people tend to forget it, especially in the Middle East. Football is work. Yeah. Football is science. Football, it's everything, yeah. But eventually, it's a workplace, and if you are not working organized, so you might have. You can achieve temporary impressive achievements, but if you want to prosper, if you want to make it sustainable, if you want to excel, you must work organized, test yourself, challenge yourself, ask yourself the questions, ready to receive criticism, which is not a strong part of this region football scenario. But I love it. I love it the way it is. I'm talking about it with passion. It's a little bit maybe absurd, but this is the way it is, man.
Absolutely. I can hear it. I can see it. The passion is there, and I really like that summarization of essentially passion, political instability, dedication merged together to create this unique melting pot of football obsession in a way.
Yeah. I can also add the fact that there is, before this talk, me and you, we chatted and we said, like, this area is so addicted to religion and tradition, and we cannot disconnect from our past.
Yeah.
We simply cannot. Each one of us is basically living his past in a way. Whether you are a Jew, whether you are a Muslim, you are taking the stories of the Quran, of the Bible, of your family, of this certain ethnical group within a country who moved there and this and that year, and it's a story. And for the good and for the bad. But yeah, so I think it's all what you said. It's like this plus the tradition and the religion and this, and you get like a really diverse and complicated and sophisticated football scenario. Yeah,
absolutely. And what's interesting is we've touched on all these Gulf countries and places like you mentioned Jordan and Lebanon. I would say there are two powerhouses or pretty strong footballing countries in the Middle East that we haven't really talked about. One, of course, being Iran, who stand out more often than not. They have some fascinating stories. When I was like 16, Ali Karimi was, whoa, when he went to Bayern Munich and that sort of thing. But the one that I do want to sort of talk to you about more specifically, and obviously you being there, is Israel. Israel is in this very unique position wherein it competes in Europe, and whatever the politics behind it and so on, those are of course key, but a lot is changing. Ties are now there, and we were talking about this before this video cast. Israel and the UAE, Israel and Bahrain. Do you see this perhaps involvement in Europe changing with the opening up of these ties? And if so, or if not, what do you think the implications of these normalization of relations will mean for the game in your country?
Well, first of all, it's already making waves. The peace agreement. In the past week, we had a really busy week in BabaGol as first ever Israeli player signed in an Arab country. Dia Saba signed for Al Nasser Dubai. Massive. He will be the fourth foreigner for this season. This is absolutely surreal. It was happening. I was covering the story really from the first stages. I had sources in all the involved characters, the all involved sides, and eventually it was presented 10 minutes before Yom Kippur, which is the Jewish yearly fast day. Really 10 minutes. I was already prepared after shower. waiting to start the fest, and boom, I thought that they will wait a little bit after the day, but no, they pushed it, and it was surreal because it's something we couldn't even imagine 1 month ago, one month and a half ago. But you hear more and more stories, of people from Abu Dhabi interested in investing in clubs in Israel. Whether it's Suleiman Al Fahim, that we are listening to his name related to Beitar Jerusalem, which is absolutely absurd. Yeah, but it's fascinating to see that things are starting to move. And as you said, Israel is in an interesting position here. And I can say that in these normalization agreements, there is huge potential to benefit all involved parties, because as someone who follows Middle Eastern football for a long time, I can tell you that there is a problem in the Gulf. Really talented players will never leave their comfort zone for real football challenges abroad, and Israel can really serve. I see it personally, can really serve as the bridge between the Gulf and the Middle East, and not talking about North Africa that really don't need Israel to be a bridge, but the Gulf really needs it to be like a mid-stage or a stepping stone before they are moving to Europe. I think players like Omar Amouri, Abdul Rahman, and Khalfan Mubarak, and many players that can really use it, because the mentality is very similar. The food, the weather, and the people's passion for the game, it's very similar. It gives the player an opportunity to play Europa League qualifications or group stage Champions League qualification. These things are changing people's careers.
Yeah.
And as back to our previous point, football is work. If you are doing your work in the biggest stages, something will happen.
Yeah.
People will see you, and you will advance. So I think it's only a matter of time. We see more and more collaborations and more paths and bridges being created in order to improve football on both sides. And the deal that took Dia Saba to Al Nasser Dubai is exciting, and I can't wait to watch him play in the Arabian Gulf League, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what's just for the viewers or listeners,
Yeah.
me sitting all the way here in Australia, I actually found out about the Dia Saba news through BabaGol. So
Amazing.
get on it, everyone, and be sure to check out what's happening, because a lot of what Uri and everyone do is linked to what's happening on a geopolitical level as well. If you're into that kind of thing, and if you're just into football, well, you're hearing about it right now. And speaking of BabaGol, mate, I wanted to sort of go full circle and come back to talking a little bit about BabaGol and what you've been up to as of late. You talked a little bit about how busy it got during the pandemic and how busy it's been. You've obviously been working on partnerships, and you have some really interesting partnerships. And I just wanted you to, have the chance to share a little bit about that and tell us, what you've been up to and what's going on in the world of BabaGol outside of perhaps what people see every day on the website and your socials.
Yeah. So outside of the news circle and the story circle, yeah. So basically, in BabaGol, we are active now 6 years, and we had many partners along the way. Whether it be simple content collaboration that were beneficial for both sides, or really big partners that we collaborated with in the past year. MyCujo, a company from the Netherlands that broadcast games of the least known places in the world. Amazing stuff, and you get the option to watch really live Mongolian Premier League on BabaGol website, but also Belarus, Vishaya Liga, Uzbekistan Super League, Tajik Super League, and early stage of the AFC Cup. Really, it's some kind of a part that really completes our product. So it is still a really privilege to work with them. It helped us a lot in manners of growth and attracting new types of readers, people who came to watch a game because they bet on this game, but suddenly started to read about Israeli and Palestinian and Emirati football. So it's funny. We get a lot of funny questions in the inbox. Mike Ujo is a great partner, but also Copa 90 that we collaborated a few times in the past in the AFCON 2019, Asian Cup 2019, World Cup 2018. Always in the big tournaments, we like also Copa like to give us this space to put stage to put a different football on a decent stage in the mainstream media. Copa is still more mainstream than BabaGol, but it always shares, the stories and the essence of football in a way that I like a lot. They also broadcasted the South Korean K-League during the pandemic, so we collaborated on this too because we already had the infrastructure to do it. It was very successful collaboration as well. Tifu Football of the Athletic is another body that we cooperate with, and for me, probably the most quality YouTube channel out there discussing football in an original way with illustrations. Fun fact about myself: as a kid, I really liked comics. I used to draw a lot before I started playing football. I like to draw comics, and when I saw Tifo for the first time, I said, "Okay, these guys, I'm gonna work with them one day." And it was pretty natural because the team, the fantastic people, from the highest quality of the media, the online media, the content world, and the click was immediate. We did a couple of videos. One of them reached 500,000 views on YouTube on the pyramids in Egypt, a new club that was brought in 2017, 2018. They are great, and I love every project that we do together is fantastic. Man, what can I say about the universe of BabaGol else? I'm blessed with great people who take parts in this project, and it's going to be an exciting year or two for us as we are really pushing it far to take this a few steps forward from a project that is based on volunteers to a project that generates income and can really play in the bigger field of the sports media, the online sports media, I would say. And we need to work very hard, and it's far-fetched, but it's my dream. And when you live for your dream, there is no problem to wake up in the morning. Basically, it's funny, I'm talking with you. I already spoke with one Australian radio shows this morning, box to box. But before this, I woke up early to finish one piece about yesterday's game in the AFC Champions League. I handed it to the editor. I went for a run on the beach in Jaffa, and then came back. And so this project is driven by the passion of myself and extremely good people. So it's going to be an exciting few more years for BabaGol for sure.
Oh, absolutely, mate. And looking forward to, seeing how that turns out. And I agree. I've seen, I've seen the collaborations you've done with Tifo, for example. Before I even knew you, I had seen those. So before I think I had started Sportages. So it's it's good to come around. Didn't ever think we'd be doing this. For our viewers, listeners, bit of a self plug. You can check out our videocast or podcast with the founder of Tifo, Neil Clerk, before obviously it went to The Athletic, and hear the story of how all of that happened. But look, Uri, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, mate, hearing about BabaGol, hearing about what you guys have been doing, some insights into Middle Eastern football, what's happening, the normalization of ties and the peace deals that Israel has had with the UAE and Bahrain, and what that means for the world of football there. And of course, hearing a little bit about your personal story within the football world. And honestly, mate, looking forward to seeing things progress, seeing BabaGol grow. Thank you so much for being on the show, mate.
Thank you, and inshallah we'll have another more successful collaboration between BabaGol and Sportagius. I'm really enjoying following what you guys do and the way the content is developing, things looking good, and next time maybe, and I'm not doing another spoiler here, I will host you on my podcast. Okay.
I'd be honored, mate. It would be an absolute pleasure to come on and honestly keep doing what you're doing. And we will obviously be in touch. But to everyone watching or listening, be sure to head to the description, whether you're on Apple Podcasts or on YouTube or Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is, on our website. Be sure to follow BabaGol on Twitter, Instagram, and check out the website, of course, and go follow Uri as well, and keep seeing what they're doing because it's some awesome work. Thanks again, mate, and you have a good one.
You too. Keep it dreaming.